and Martin. Very, very tough part of the order. Then Tulowitzki, who has 24 home runs. Smoke at first base. Pilar, an outstanding defensive center fielder. And Devin Travis is at second base. And the number 9 hitter. All up against Rick Porcello, the Red Sox starting pitcher, presented by New England Audi Dealers, looking for his 23rd win tonight.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they are third in the league with 75 errors on the season. Brock Holt will be at third base. Sander Bogart's the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Hanley Ramirez, the first baseman. Left to right, Andrew Benintendi, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts. And Sandy Leone doing the catching for Rick Porcello.
And tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. That'll be Mark Carlson behind the plate. Quinn Walcott at first base. Chris Guccione at second base. And Brian Gorman is the crew chief at third. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory back Toyota Certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
And the weather is pretty miserable, actually. Showers throughout the night. That'll be the case tomorrow as well, from what we're told. Only 56 degrees, so chilly and rainy. But we are going to play baseball. You get the feeling that Toronto really wants to play this.
I think the last thing Toronto wants to do is play a doubleheader in the situation they're in right now. So John Gibbons and his crew ready to go, as are the Red Sox.
And tonight, closing out a sensational regular season for Rick Porcello, leading the majors in wins and strikeout to walk ratio. His command has been just tremendous. Right through this, strike one, and we're underway. Carrera very quick. He can really fly. 252 with 6 home runs, and he bloops a foul back out of play.
This is the 5th start that Porcello has had this year against Toronto. He is 3-0 against the Blue Jays this season with a 4.50 ERA. You see the breakdown on the arsenal for Porcello.
He's lost exactly 1 game all season at Fenway, and that was 1-0. That just missed a little bit high. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Tried the 2-seam fastball that time, but a little bit too high in the zone, or out of the zone, I should say.
Waved at and missed, and he strikes out Carrera to get going.
Now the curveball this time doing the honors for Porcello. The last outing he had 9 strikeouts against Tampa Bay. Starts this one off with a strikeout on the curveball.
Here's Donaldson at 285 with 37 homers and 98 runs batted in. He was battling a hip problem the last time the Red Sox saw him. He's actually swinging a very good bat coming in. He checks, and that's a strike. Over his last 9 games, he's hitting .323 with 3 homers. So he has come back to life. Encarnacion on deck. 0-2.
Boy, very good curveball that time from Porcello, breaking down and away from high inside to low and away with this breaking ball.
And the right-hander from New Jersey with the 0-2. Fouled in the air off to the right. The wind could be a factor tonight. It has been gusting in from center field.
Yeah, it has been ever since I got to the ballpark this afternoon, straight in from center field.
Oh, 2 pitch to Donaldson, and he left it downstairs. Toronto just lost 2 out of 3 at home to Baltimore to fall into that wild card tie with the Orioles. They find themselves in tonight. Detroit a game and a half back. Seattle is 2 back coming into the weekend. And a blooper into right field. That's going to drop down for a base hit. That also gives you an idea that there are a lot of Toronto fans here tonight. Last few years they've been traveling very well, and they bought a lot of tickets to be here this evening.
You know, I think Sandy Leone got crossed up a little bit on that last pitch. He called for a pitch, but it was not the pitch he expected. Watch Leone react behind the plate. He was expecting a breaking ball. He got a fastball, and Donaldson muscles that ball to the opposite field for the base hit. It's unusual to see a pitcher and catcher get crossed up with nobody at second base.
Encarnacion now ranking second in the major leagues in RBIs with 127. A lot of swings like that have connected this year. He's hit 42 home runs.
Yeah, big time numbers. 42 home runs, 127 RBIs.
And he is one of the Blue Jays who has always given Porcello a rough time. Bautista's another one. That pops out of the middle of Leon, but Donaldson not going anywhere. And the conditions tonight are bound to be slick. Encarnacion 351 against Rick Porcello with 3 home runs. And the 1-1. That's a strike.
Very good two-seam fastball again by Porcello. You talked about conditions, Dave, you know, and very tricky for infielders when they get a ground ball. Very tough for outfielders to get traction when they have the wet conditions like this. Balls will skip through and get into the gap.
Does not look like it's going to quit tonight. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Encarnacion. He got him. Swung on and missed. And down he goes. Strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Porcello.
That looked like a slider that time from Porcello. You can see it coming out of his hand and breaking down and away and well off the plate. But Encarnacion chasing it.
2 down Bautista now. Joey bats. He's had a rough year. 232, 21 homers, 67 RBIs. All of his numbers are down. And the first one in there for strike 1. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning. Donaldson with a tiny lead at first. And the fastball will miss to make it 1-1.
Batista's got very good numbers. 417 with 3 home runs against Porcello. He is 0 for his last 12.
And the Cy Young candidate with a 1-1. That drifted away. Bautista missed a lot of time earlier in the season because of injury. Missed 42 games. That's a major reason that his numbers are off. In the past, he's been one of the top RBI men in all of baseball. And a 2-1. 3 balls, 1 strike.
They would not chase that cut fastball to the outside part of the plate or just off the corner.
Two down in the 3-1. In there for a called strike to fill up the count.
Yeah, Bautista upset with himself. You can see him hit the bat. Wanted to be swinging at that fastball. Was right down the middle.
He's always been a big fan of Fenway. 3-2 runner goes. And that's going to miss for ball 4. Rare walk for Rick Porcello. So that'll put him on at first and second for Russell Martin. Porcello is leading the American League in a key category, whip. Walks and hits to innings pitched, and almost never walks a man. In fact, his last 7 starts, he's walked exactly 2 batters.
Yeah, that's only his 31st walk of the season.
Now Martin hitting .231, but with 20 homers. That's on the edge for a called strike. Now, he's not one of the guys that Porcello typically stays up late at night worrying over in the lineup, because Martin is 3 for 20 against him. And fouled away in the count 0-2. Again, a little bit later tonight, it'll be Tampa Bay at Texas. A win for the Rangers, and they will have home field advantage in the American League playoffs. Porcello says yes to Sandy Leon, and the 0-2. Too high.
A couple of times this inning, he's tried to go upstairs with that fastball, but that one not tempting for Russell Martin.
Pitch number 23 in the first inning for Rick. And it's 2-2. To Lewitsky next. By his standards, a longish inning.
Yeah, we don't see many 23 pitch innings or more from Rick Porcello.
Light rain still falling at Fenway. Donaldson at second, Bautista at first. And a breaking ball is popped up on the infield. Xander Bogaerts near the bag, and he's got it. That retires the side. Bit of a scuffle, but he gets through it, and the Red Sox are coming up. Well, back at rainy Fenway Park, where the Red Sox are coming up for the first time against the right-hander Marco Estrada, very tough customer. Here's a look at the Red Sox lineup now. It's brought to you by buyatoyota.com. Toyota's website for deals. It'll be Dustin Pedroia, then Brock Holt and Mookie Betts. David Ortiz, the number 4 man tonight. Anthony Ramirez at first, Xander Bogaerts at short, Jackie Bradley in center, Sandy Leon doing the catching, Andrew Benintendi in left field and batting ninth. As Pedroia steps in, hitting .319 with 15 home runs. Red Sox at the moment 2 games behind Texas for the American League's best record, a half game ahead of Cleveland. And Estrada a little off speed up high. The Blue Jays starter brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. He's 9-9, ERA of 3.53. Get ready to see a lot of changeups.
Yeah, a lot of changeups from Estrada. Very good one.
And Pedroia flicks that one foul.
I think one of the approaches for the Red Sox is to try to be aggressive early against him, to stay away from that changeup, try to get a fastball to hit. He's made 4 starts against the Red Sox, 2-2 on the season.
Pedroia's hit him well, .368 lifetime. Man, the 1-2 pitch. High drive, but foul out of play.
That's the changeup we were talking right there at 74 miles an hour, but not where he wanted that. That was up and in. And Pedroia pulling it foul. You can see where Russell Martin was set up away. That's where he wanted to go with it, down and away. Instead, up and in, foul ball.
A floater toward right. Bautista giving chase, headed for those stands. Can't get to it, and it's a foul ball. And Bautista went hard into that padding on the slide, but apparently okay, shaking that wrist.
Yeah, Bautista, you know, going all out as far as he can go in, and slides into that padding. It looks like his wrist maybe a little bit of an issue.
Dustin with a 4-game hitting streak. Every time you turn around, he has another streak going. And that's in there for strike 3 on the black, according to Carlson. Petey not so sure as he strikes out looking.
The Blue Jays defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are 5th in the league with 86 errors on the season. Josh Donaldson will be at third base. Troy Tulowitzki, the shortstop. Devin Travis at second. Justin Smoke at first. In the outfield, Carrera, Pilar, Bautista, and Russell Martin doing the catching.
Brock Holt now, who moves up to the 2 spot tonight. It's an interesting looking lineup, Jerry, because it's not Xander Bogaerts hitting second. He is now hitting 6th.
Yeah, it's a little mix-up, little change here for John Farrell, getting Bogaerts down in the lineup behind Hanley Ramirez. And obviously Brock Holt in that 2 spot, so you go right, left, right at the top of the lineup, and then back to left again with Ortiz obviously in the cleanup spot.
We'll see if this look carries over into postseason play. Here's the 2-0 and a strike. Brock hitting .262, career high 7 home runs. One of the true highlights of the season was his grand slam very early in Toronto, which brought the Red Sox back from a big hole in a game they recovered and won. And Brock's grand slam was the huge hit in that game. It's a real confidence booster against the defending division champs on the road very early in the year. It was a big hit. Mookie Betts on deck. Here comes the 2-2. And a check swing foul out of play. Back to that home run cut by Brock Holt.
Up in Toronto on a Friday as the Red Sox have their blue tops on. That line drive home run.
Way back on April 8th. He had a notion, but he held off that one, and the count goes to 3-2.
Once again, that was that changeup that time, up and out of the zone, not where Estrada wants it.
Right-hander from Mexico fires, and that's going to miss for ball 4. So the Red Sox have their first base runner in front of the MVP candidate, Mookie Betts. Mookie closing out a spectacular regular season. 320, 31 homers, 112 runs batted in, 26 stolen bases. And everywhere you look in the top 10 in the American League, in virtually every offensive category, you're going to see the name Mookie Betts. And Estrada having just walked a man, and that doesn't happen very often. He delivers ball 1.
Yeah, right now his fastball that he's throwing is just missing the outside corner. That was the case to Holt, and falling behind Mookie Betts on a fastball that just missed.
Mookie had an outstanding road trip, going 14 for 29. Drilled in there for a strike. Sits safely in 13 out of the last 14 games, so he's heading into postseason play pretty hot. And the 1-1. A cut and a miss. And very loose in the clubhouse before the game. He was talking about if the Red Sox had a ping pong tournament among just themselves, he's confident that it would come down to him and Dustin Pedroia.
I agree. I've seen Pedroia play. I have not seen Mookie Betts play ping pong.
Mookie thinks they're 1 and 1A, and he doesn't want to rank either one of them, but they're right there with each other in ping pong. Dustin Pedroia has all that tennis background. Does that make sense that he's pretty nasty with a racket in his hand of any kind?
I saw him playing a few years back in Cleveland. They have a ping pong table down close to the dugout, actually.
Yeah. Of course, nobody wants any part of Mookie when it comes to bowling, because that's game over immediately. And he pokes that one foul. It's up to like 9 or 10 perfect games. David Ortiz on deck. We got a live shot tonight in a restaurant in the Dominican Republic as they're watching tonight's broadcast. Here's the 2-2 and a little floater foul out of play. We'll be sharing that with you from time to time tonight as they look on David Ortiz. And they're waiting. Everyone's waiting on David. From Santo Domingo. Hold with the lead, 1 down, no score in the first, and fouled off again. Mookie 2 for 13 in his career against Estrada. Comes in with a hot hand, back-to-back games against Seattle and the Yankees. A win and a no decision, going 7 innings in each one, allowing a total of 5 hits. And bounced up there to make it 3-2.
Now this will be interesting. When Mookie bets up, do they send Holt here with 1 out on the 3-2 count? Remember, you have Ortiz on deck and a tough track out there with the rain coming down.
So you would not do it?
I think I'd be a little conservative in this situation here. We'll see.
He's running. High fly ball to left field. Carrera coming in on it as the wind pushes it, and he'll make the play. So there are 2 down, and Pape coming up for the first time on this Friday night.
The designated hitter, number 34, David Ortiz.
David does have 2 career home runs against Estrada. And hammered foul for strike 1. We're seeing a lot of that in the stands here tonight. I'm sure we will throughout the weekend. Families who grew up together watching David. Pop foul, back out of play.
That's a good pitch right there. A fastball right in on the hands of Ortiz. Unable to get the barrel of the bat on it and just fouls it off. So very quickly ahead, no balls and 2 strikes.
Pape trying to snap a little 0 for 10. One and 2. Foul back again.
You see where Russell Martin was holding that glove that time. I mean, he wanted that fastball again up and in on Ortiz. It leaked out over the plate a little bit. Look at the target he's giving above the belt. And that ball sailed to the outside part of the plate and fouled off.
The 1-2. High fly down the left field line, but foul. And as you look around Fenway Park, this is a site normally reserved for the 9th inning of a tie game with the Red Sox down a run, and David up there. Thousands of folks standing.
Yeah, I kind of have the feeling this is going to happen all through the weekend, every at bat that he has.
Bounce to the plate. There goes Brock Holt. He's going to pick up second base. A curveball into the dirt. The Red Sox have a man in scoring position.
A little bit of a gift right there. Tried to snap off the breaking ball that time, and Martin cannot block it. And that allows Holt. Holt actually read that very well. When he saw it was going to bounce, he just took off at second base. So he gets in a scoring position.
David's second in the American League to Encarnacion in RBIs. And the 2-2. Another vicious rip on a fastball in, and fouls it back.
And if there's any question what they're trying to do with the fastball, it's get it up and in on David Ortiz. He's been able to foul those pitches off.
Here comes the 8th pitch of this at bat. Line shot, base hit. Holt coming around. Carrera gunning home. It's offline, and David Ortiz strikes right away. RBI number 125.
Excellent hitting by David Ortiz as he takes that fastball that's down and away. Remember, everything he saw from fastballs were high and in. Then he gets one down and away and just takes it to the opposite field. Butterfield waving home Brock Holt. He's off on contact with 2 outs. Not a really good arm by Carrera out there in left field, and he scores without a problem.
So the Red Sox have taken a 1-0 lead. 125 RBIs for Big Papi. And here's Hanley Ramirez at 288, 29 homers, 110 RBIs. Hanley so often referring to David as my big brother. And a breaking ball hammered foul.
You know, that was really a good at bat by Ortiz. You know, we highlighted and we showed you the many different fastballs and where Martin was trying to get those located up and in, and Ortiz was able to foul off a couple of them. So then they tried to sneak one down and away, and he had the plate coverage to put it on a line to the opposite field.
Now, you know, Hanley would like to become the 3rd member of this Red Sox lineup to hit 30 and drive in 100. So that's one of the things he'll be looking to do this weekend.
Take a look at one more time at that last pitch to David Ortiz. Remember, we told you down, up and in. It was supposed to be up and in. You saw the target, but it ends up down and away, and he still is able to make contact.
Two down, a run in, and the 0-2 to Hanley. Popped up, that'll drift foul off into the stands. Time to see who's been driving the ball, presented by Toyo Tires. Hanley in September, 10 homers, 26 runs batted in, and hitting .323. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. The offense has marked this team all season long. They've scored a major league best 870 runs now. It's 109 more than the Indians, who are second. And a cut and a miss. Down he goes, strike 3. But the Red Sox get on the scoreboard thanks to Big Papi again, number 125, and it's 1-0 Red Sox. Chance to own a rare piece of Red Sox history, the original portrait of David Ortiz by the world famous artist Peter Max celebrates the greatest clutch hitter of all time. The graphic posters are hand signed by the artist and by Big Papi. You can order yours today at redsoxfoundation.org/Ortiz. Proudly presented by Foxwoods Resort Casino, Red Sox Foundation, and Nesson. All net proceeds are going to the David Ortiz Children's Fund.
And of course, we got a chance to see pregame what that fund has been able to accomplish throughout the years.
Yes, saving 563 lives with heart surgeries. One of the many things that David has done off the field. David won the Roberto Clemente Award, which is one of the highest honors a ball player can receive, all for charitable work. Tulowitzki leading things off here. Red Sox in front 1-0 on the Ortiz RBI single. Tulowitzki 254, 24 home runs. It'll be followed by Smoke and then Pilar. Rick Porcello on the bump tonight and misses outside. Rick right at the forefront of the Cy Young conversation. At 22 wins, only 4 losses. Top 5 ERA. Top 5 in a lot of categories. Coming off a 6-4 win against Tampa Bay. I think the shocker in that one wasn't that he got the win, of course. It was that he didn't go 7 innings. First time since July 24th that he hadn't gone at least 7. That was clockwork. Here's the 2-2. Fouled away.
A lot of pitches early in the game for him here tonight. And it's going to be interesting to watch how Farrell manages the number of pitches in workload of his starting pitches over this last start before they go to postseason.
Patches honoring Big Papi. His final regular season weekend. Here comes the 2-2. And he struck him out. Caught him looking. So he has struck out 3 men in the first inning and a third.
The first 2 strikeouts were on curveballs. This time he goes to the fastball, that 2-seamer that comes back toward the corner.
We were just talking about it. The David Ortiz Children's Fund has helped save more than 600 children in the New England area and the Dominican Republic. You can help this great cause by buying a limited edition farewell T-shirt. 100% of the proceeds go to the David Ortiz Children's Fund. To get yours, visit the website on your screen. Here's Justin Smoke, first baseman. Switch hitter, flicks a foul out of play, hitting .220. 14 homers.
Red Sox in the shift on the right side. Pedroia back on that wet outfield grass.
0-1, big wave and a miss. He always swings for the fences.
Yeah, he's got 3 career home runs against Porcello. Porcello got him to chase a high fastball that time.
The 0-2 to Smoke. Kind of a half a wave. He made contact and knocked a foul out of play. Jay Happ of his Toronto team has 20 wins. Corey Kluber has 18. They are among the competition for the Cy Young. I'd have to say Verlander is too. He has an ERA just slightly ahead of Porcello's. Check swing. Did he go? He did not, according to Brian Gorman. And I think Zach Britton, the closer for the Orioles, in there too.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. I think Britton will get a lot of attention too in that category.
1-2. That one slammed to right, but Betts coming in a bit actually to make that catch. 2 up and 2 down. When you talk about a guy taking a ball every 5 days and delivering so consistently that you just, if you're a Red Sox fan, you feel like it's in the bank before he even gets to the mound every night. That's Rick Porcello.
Now, one thing he has not done all year long is hurt himself with walks. He did have a walk back in the first inning. It did not hurt him. Throw strikes.
Pilar lines it to Pedroia just off to his left. That's more like a Rick Porcello inning. Just a handful of pitches and he gets a 1-2-3. But on this date in 1978, Dennis Eckersley won his 20th game. Red Sox beating Toronto 5-1. It was the 16th complete game thrown by Eck that season. 16 of them. He allowed 5 hits. He walked only 1. He struck out 9. Nobody does that anymore. 16 complete games.
A lot of teams don't do that anymore.
That's absolutely true. Xander Bogaerts batting out of the 6th slot in a new looking lineup for John Farrell tonight. Hitting .294 with 21 homers, 89 runs batted in. Now he hit one, number 21 in New York last night. I thought he had number 2 if not for the wind. It was going to be very close anyway. The wind really knocked down that second one. And it's blowing in tonight here at Fenway as he waves and misses.
That's that good changeup from Estrada. Played 4 straight games with the wind blowing in, 3 at Yankee Stadium and now here tonight at Fenway.
2 of them have also been wet. Hammer toward the hole, a dive by Donaldson, up and gunning. Oh my, what a play. Spectacular stab and then the throw by Donaldson.
Boy, that's a great play by Donaldson for a couple of reasons. First of all, the dive to make the play, and then remember he's throwing a wet baseball when he gets back up to his feet across the diamond to get Bogaerts. That ball had a couple of bounces on the grass. The grass is wet and able to get the grip to make that kind of throw. Pretty impressive. That ball is about by him. That's a terrific play by Donaldson down at third base.
Stealing a hit from Xander Bogaerts. One away is Jackie Bradley. Jackie at .272 with 26 homers, 87 RBIs. Does have a career home run against Estrada. Red Sox in front 1-0 in the second. And talking about Texas, if they beat Tampa Bay tonight in Texas, they win the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They own the tiebreaker against the Red Sox. So that's why that is true. The interesting monkey wrench in this is the Indians and Tigers game. It was rained out yesterday. Now if Cleveland is a half game in front of the Red Sox after Sunday, up the middle, Tulowitzki will get him. Then they're going to have to make up that game on Monday against Detroit.
I'm looking at the scoreboard now too, and Baltimore has a 2-0 lead over the Yankees. Baltimore fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, tied right now with Toronto. Flat-footed tie. Of course, 2 teams make it. But they still have to fight to get in. Here's Sandy Leon hitting .312 with 7 homers and 35 RBIs, hoping to get hot again before postseason play. His bat has chilled. The 0-1. Sandy trying to break out of a 1-for-23 slump. One ball, 2 strikes. Right now you can get up to 60 months with no interest on anything at Jordan's Furniture. Furnish one room or your entire room, and best of all, you get to enjoy it right now. Visit Jordans.com for details. One-two. Went the other way with it, and that one through Donaldson. Baseball is a nutty game, isn't it?
Well, you know, I highlighted it early in the ball game. That ball is going to skip off the wet grass. So you can see it right there. Donaldson thought he had it lined up. He actually did get in front of it, but it goes right through the 5-hole as it deflects off the glove. But those ground balls, when they come off a wet infield, they just skip, and it throws your timing off a little bit.
5 minutes ago, he makes one of the better plays you'll see at third base. And then commits an error. Is Benintendi after the E5, and Andrew will look at strike one, hitting .296, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs. And a rookie headed for postseason play. 14 months ago he was drafted. And now heading to the playoffs.
He is the only member of the Red Sox that has not faced Estrada before, so he'll have to deal with that changeup at some point.
Two balls and one strike. Red Sox up 1-0. David Ortiz with an RBI single. And Estrada's 2-1. Outside, good eye there by the youngster with Pedroia coming up.
Yeah, good job. That was the changeup in a hitter's count. 2 balls and 1 strike. He was able to stay off it and run it to 3-1.
Estrada throws a ton of changeups, almost 29%, more than anybody in baseball. On the edge, according to Carlson. The plate grew a little bit. The count's 3-2. So Leon will be off to the races here with a 3-2 pitch, 2 down. There he goes, and it's popped up. Here comes Donaldson, a catcher up the line 2, and Donaldson will take it to retire the side. So nothing comes of the error. 1 man left, and at the end of 2 at Fenway, the Sox lead Toronto 1-0. Is brought to you by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. Bob's Discount Furniture, everybody saves at Bob's Discount Furniture, in store at mybobs.com. And by Southwest Airlines, yes to low fares with nothing to hide, that's transparency. On to the top half of the 3rd inning, Red Sox leading Toronto 1-0. As always, we are very happy to be joined by the Boston Globe's Alex Spear. It'll be Travis to lead things off here against Rick Porcello, who breezed through the last inning 1-2-3. David Ortiz, David Ortiz, David Ortiz. That's what we're talking about.
I've heard that line before. Yeah.
Yes, so have I. And I think that, David coming out and delivering right away, highly appropriate with that line drive base hit.
And it gives you a reminder of why he's been so incredible. You see the adjustment that he makes. He's been, he had been pull happy. He had been trying to crank everything up on inside pitches. And he'd been pretty vulnerable in those at-bats in New York. And so all of a sudden you see him make the adjustment, taking a pitch that's low and away, and having the extension and plate coverage to be able to just rip a single to left.
shot, and there's Holt to snag it. Long throw, got him at first base. It's the hot corner tonight, and Brock Holt showing up in a big way.
Oh, that's another great play down at third base, and this would maybe even more difficult because Brock Holt is going toward the line. You'll see him dive, have to scramble to his feet in a hurry, and the long throw across to Hanley Ramirez. Seeing both third basemen make spectacular plays early in the game.
Holt doesn't have a great arm, but he has a great clock.
Yeah,
he understands.
He really does. Look how quickly he gets rid of that ball, knowing it's going to be a close play at first base.
And Rick Porcello certainly appreciates the defense as a ground ball guy. He'll send up Carrera, who's 0 for 1, looking to bunt, but he's going to take a ball. Back to David, and we talk about a guy who is second in the American League in RBIs, but one of those two guys is 40 years old and still has sensational bat speed. It just blows you away. That one up the middle for a base hit. And Carrera is on with one down. And back to that base hit to drive in the run for David.
There it is. You see that pitch that's just down outer half of the plate, maybe even a little bit below the strike zone. His ability to get extension on that pitch, that's the pitch that keeps a lot of players as they age from being productive. You need to maintain flexibility to be able to get pitches that far down. I was talking about this with Chili Davis, and we were actually looking at David's first home run, which was actually on a pitch kind of in a similar location. Back then, David could drive it, but the fact that he has that reach, you hear people talk about how important it is, how sometimes they prefer to see guys with shorter arms. That's not David, but he stands so far off the plate that he covers it all.
Donaldson the bouncer. Bogart's airborne throw, safe, and everybody's going to be safe. Well, the Red Sox may choose to challenge. We'll see in a bang play at second.
Bogart certainly thinks they should challenge this. The jump throw to second base by Bogarts. Let's take a look. Pedroia stretching out like a first baseman. This may be worth a look. This may be worth a look. I'm sure the Red Sox are going to challenge that.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I believe Pedroia's got the ball in his glove before that foot came across the bag. That would be another spectacular play. It was a spectacular play by Bogarts.
So they're going to take a look in New York. This play is under review. The forced play at second base. If they overturn it, then Carrera would be ruled out. Take another look.
As Pedroia making himself a first baseman, stretching out. Looks like out to me. Oh, yeah.
Yep. And they are privy to those angles in New York.
Yeah, we just saw two different ones that, to me, looked like the base runner was out.
This has been an interesting inning that is in part highlighted. Part of the reason why Porcello maybe is pitching at a different level this year than he did in Detroit. I was talking about this for a while with Dave Dombrowski and about how Porcello would have outings where his sinker was working really well and he would give up a bunch of hits. That was not a good Tigers defense that played behind him. That was one of the worst infield defenses. We saw it a lot in 2013, of course. And just to see the athleticism that Holt, Bogarts and Pedroia all exhibited in a very short period of time, that is transformative for a guy who is not afraid of contact.
Great point.
I also think some people forget that the Red Sox, they're third in the league in defense. They've had a solid defense.
And obviously their outfield coverage has been spectacular when you're as a given from left center to the right field line. And then sometimes incorporating, depending on who's out there, a lot of the time it's also been all the way to the left field line.
That's an important note, too, about Porcello, because he's just slightly above the league average on ground ball outs this year. He's not become just a sinker ball guy. He's not that guy anymore. He gets his share, obviously, strikeouts and also fly ball outs, too. So it isn't just about infield defense in his case. Oh, they're going to go with a safe call.
Wow.
And uphold the call by Chris Guccione. That's an upset. And that'll put runners at first and second.
Well, I got to tell you, that surprised me, too, along with Xander Bogaerts, because from the angles we had, it certainly looked like Pedroia had that ball before there was contact with the bag. But we have to move on from there.
The conclusive standard is often a very difficult one to get over, evidently.
So they're going to give Donaldson a base hit. Carrera and Donaldson aboard in front of Encarnacion, the #1 RBI man in the American League, with 127, and a free agent at the end of the year. And as I think a lot of Red Sox fans know by now, a very good friend of Big Papi's.
I think that describes about 70% of players in Major League Baseball, though.
Yeah, that might be on the short end. Porcello struck him out in the first inning. The bat goes flying on the swing and a miss. So the bat boy fetching a new one here. Bautista on deck. Red Sox in front 1-0.
It is striking how aggressive Porcello is. I mean, he's so fearless. One out. The American League leader in RBIs, one of the great home run hitters in the game. Fastball, fastball, strike, strike. He is willing to pitch in the strike zone like few others.
This will be popped up and playable. Andy Ramirez with the infield fly in effect right through the coach's box to make the play. Looking up into the raindrops, and that'll be out number 2.
Right on cue, just what you just said. I mean, Encarnacion right there in a big situation, saw nothing but fastballs from Rick Porcello.
He's become so confident with the location of both the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer. Last year he would make that mistake. Well,
that time it was a 2-seamer down in the strike zone, moving back in on Encarnacion a little bit. But I agree with you. That 4-seamer that he throws also that rises, that's a strikeout pitch for him.
And one of the important things that he did last year was to get the same release point in arm slot from the 2-seamer and 4-seamer by the end of the year. Early in the year where he was struggling, there was a little bit of separation from the two because he was trying to muscle up on the fastball and really go for velocity. And so hitters could tell when it right out of the hand, whether it was a 2-seamer or 4-seamer. He made an adjustment that he was really able to cement during those couple of rehab starts that he had in Pawtucket. All of a sudden, the ball looks the same coming out of the hand, whether it's a 2-seamer that's going to sink or a 4-seamer that's going to go straight and stay up. And he was a different pitcher from that point forward.
He's really become a great believer in what he does well.
His confidence is off the charts, although he's become such a complete pitcher. You look at the repertoire he throws. Buck Showalter talked about this recently. 5 pitches, and he can throw strikes with them, and he's not afraid to throw strikes with them. And so it leaves batters on the defensive.
Yeah, every part of the strike zone. Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's very difficult on hitters is you don't know what he's going to throw. I mean, he's not predictable at all.
There were some pitches in that outing against the Orioles where he missed middle. He missed middle, but they couldn't sit on anything, so they couldn't take advantage of him.
Well, you do that, you stay away from ball 4 the way he does, and you've got yourself a 22-game winner. Trying for 23 tonight. Here's the 2-0. And another one popped up toward right field. Out goes Pedroia. Betts coming on. Mookie's there. He's got it. And that retires the side. So despite giving up a couple of hits, he gets out of it unscathed. Always great to see you.
Great to see you guys as well. Thanks so much.
Alex Spear, the Boston Globe, 1-0, the Red Sox.
Safeway Park. It's the bottom of the third. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead. I'm Garen Austin. Hello, everyone. It's a big weekend here for David Ortiz, who said he was very honored by the ceremony at Yankee Stadium. He did admit to being a little nervous of how Yankees fans were going to react because he had his family on the field, but he said the ceremony was nice and professional, and he was really touched by the book of all the notes. He said it blew his mind to read all the notes from his former teammates and guys that he played against for a long time. And guys, he said, as for Sunday, it's not going to be his last game, so he can enjoy this weekend and then focus on the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it all. Thank you, Garen. Tongue-in-cheek there on a beautiful night at Fenway. As the light rain continues to fall, but the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead here in the third. Dustin Pedroia hitting .319, 0 for 1 tonight. I was on the tarmac at Logan about 2:30 this morning with Big Papi. It was just the two of us, and we were talking about the ceremony in New York. He was very, very impressed with how they did it, and particularly that book. As that one is cracked for a base hit to left field. So Pedroia on, he's 1 for 2. In fact, to put that book together, that took months and months to get all of those stories, all those collections of players to do that. So they put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah, that was a really nice idea. Wasn't quite sure when it came out exactly what that was, but when we found out, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and he was very touched by it. Might have been his best gift. Well, Brock Holt, the batter, he has walked and scored. Driven in by David Ortiz with a sharp RBI single in the first inning. Red Sox going with an A-list lineup tonight. Got to win a couple of games after being swept by the Yankees. Baltimore leading the Yankees 3-1 fifth inning. Noteworthy because the Orioles and Toronto are tied for the wild card right now. He's bunting but loops it foul. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. You can experience the thrill of playing at DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com.
I had a feeling right there Brock Holt was bunting for a base hit, not sacrificing. We'll be able to tell on this pitch if he's bunting again, but looked like he was trying to drop that ball down the third baseline.
Not a bad idea on a wet surface like this. Not bunting here, and a strike. Estrada's last start against the Red Sox was the shortest of his season. 2 1/3. He gave up 6 hits, 4 runs. Red Sox really had his number on that day. But at other times, he has been dazzling.
Yeah, and most of the time, and when he's been good against the Red Sox, it's because he's had a good changeup. Nothing else is dominant in his repertoire, but the changeup stands out.
He can be very tough to hit. The 1-2. Off speed, and that was a changeup to strike out Brock Holtz. Got him.
That's exactly, David, what we're talking about. I mean, when he's got this pitch going, and even though it's high in the strike zone, it's still to the outside part of the plate and off speed enough where it had Brock Holt on his front foot.
Ace Ticket still has seats available for tomorrow and Sunday's Sox games. And a special David Ortiz ceremony starting at only $59. Don't miss out. Visit aceticket.com right now. And David moving to the on deck area. Mookie Betts will take a strike. I think you saw it on that pitch. Russell Martin is one of the better framers. Really pulled that one back off the corner, and he sold it to Mark Carlson. Or as they want us to say today, presenters.
Well, we're going to say framers.
Darn right.
And you see that pitch, the first pitch on the outside part of the plate. You see him, how he just gently brings it back to the corner.
Pedroia at first base, 1 down. Line shot, but a foul ball off the low side fence.
It's a high pitch that Mookie Betts gets his hands above, high pitch and away. and almost slapped that line drive in fair territory. That's a tough pitch right there, because that could have been called a strike had he taken it.
The 0-2 runner goes. Chopped on the infield. Estrada handles that chance, and down to second base is Dustin Pedroia. So he's in scoring position for David Ortiz, about to bat for the second time.
Well, we'll see right now what they think about David Ortiz. Are they going to put him on first base, even though it's early in the game, and take their chances with Hanley Ramirez, or pitch to Ortiz?
David 1 for 1 with an RBI single to left.
They're going to pitch to him. They're in the shift.
.125 RBIs in his final season. Off the middle and knocked down by Estrada. Scoops it up and gets him. And that will retire the side. So that one did not get through. David looks like he's checking on Estrada. Boston in front 1-0 through 3 at Fenway. With the 47 limited edition final season collection. Visit 47 on Facebook to see how you could meet Big Papi and win a 47 prize pack. Red Sox have the lead 1-0 moving on to the 4th inning. Russell Martin leading it off against Rick Porcello. Martin 0 for 1. He is popped to short.
Yeah, big swing there by Martin on a breaking ball. He went down to one knee. I think he might have slipped a little bit in the batter's box.
Wouldn't be surprised on this night.
There's the swing, and yes, a little slide by that left foot.
A muddy evening. Going to be a muddy weekend. Red Sox and Toronto determined to play despite the light rain. The 1-1 to the shortstop. Hoovered up by Xander Bogaerts. And Martin is 0 for 2. That'll send up Troy Tulowitzki. Join us on November 14th at the House of Blues for a celebration of New England sports icons and Ambassador Jerry Remy. Tickets on sale now for limited time. You can get yours at theglobies.com. The Globies presented by Mercedes-Benz.
I can't wait for that.
I believe with your ambassadorship you get free parking.
That would be great.
Tulowitzki 0 for 1. He struck out looking in the second.
I think a limo would be even better.
Ooh. Now that I like the sound. I may join you if you get the limo. The 1-0 is on the corner. Tulowitzki 3 out of 16 against Porcello in his career. Former Colorado Rocky star. Is that breaking ball fouled off of Sandy Leon. He's had a good curveball again, and he's using it frequently.
As the breaking ball and the foul tip right on top of it, and Sandy Leon gets it on the knee.
The 1-2 home and off the mitt. Kansas City with a 1-0 lead on Cleveland there in the second inning. Red Sox trying to make sure they have home field advantage against the Indians. Little blooper toward right down the line, and it's going to be a fair ball and bounce toward the fence, so it'll be a base hit. Tulowitzki almost dropping it right on the chalk.
Yeah, he got jammed on that fastball from Porcello, and this ball just kind of flares out to right field. Nobody had a chance at it. The only chance was for it to go foul, but it does land, I think, right on the chalk down that right field line, and only a single as Mookie Betts tracked it down and got it back into the infield quickly.
Here's Smoke, the first baseman. He has lined to right 0 for 1. 1-0 Sox here in the fourth. Now you remember so many moments when you get to this point in the season with just a few games to go in the regular season. Red Sox going on a postseason play. Red Sox began the month of July with a 5-game deficit in the American League East, and then they suffered that embarrassing loss. Remember the 21-2 loss to the Angels?
Yes.
That was on July 2nd. Since then, John Farrell's team has played .620 baseball. Only the Cubs have been hotter since that point in the season. And you wonder what a game like that does to a team. In that case, it almost seemed to light a fire under the Red Sox.
Well, I remember Dustin Pedroia being quoted after that game, and everybody was talking about the embarrassment of it, and he said it's one loss. You know, that's really how you have to look at it. Sometimes those aren't as painful as a 1-0 loss.
The 2-0 fastball in there for a strike. Yeah, there was a lot of gloom and doom around town the next morning, but not in the clubhouse. They treated it like that's a loss. Got beat. Turn the page, win the next day. Which is a strong characteristic of this team. 2-1. Fouled at home plate. One thing John Farrell has been talking quite a bit about since the Red Sox clinched the other night is the tightness of this group, how together they are. And that is something that has evolved from spring training on.
Well, I think you can credit the veteran players for that, for making the young players feel comfortable. And they're such talented young players that they fit right in. I mean, I've been in situations where, you know, older players, veteran players, I should say, can make it miserable for younger players, and it's not the case anymore. You know, they get to know each other very well during spring training, and spring training's different now. So many young players are invited to camp, and I think it's a great thing for the young players to experience, you know, what these guys have been through throughout the years.
3-2 coming. Cut on and missed. Smoke goes down. And they're 2 away. Pilar coming up next. Sunday at 9:30. Don't miss the Ultimate Red Sox Show presented by AAA. We'll look back at the best Red Sox plays of the 2016 season. That's Sunday at 9:30. Only on NESN. And we're happy to say there are a lot of them when a team has won 92 games and the division. Here's Pilar now, 0 for 1. He's lined to second.
You know, the bottom line with all we were talking about is you got to be good. You know, you really got to be good, because I played on teams with a lot of great guys. We weren't very good.
Right.
You know,
and no one really talked much about how tight you were.
No, exactly.
It's funny how that happens.
You got to be a pretty good player.
That one tied him up. Nasty pitch. And a count 0-2.
Then I've also been on teams that were very good, that had players taking individual cabs to the ballpark. So
yeah,
you know, it's very strange how this game works.
The old 25 guys, 25 cabs.
Yeah.
0-2 on the way, and he bounced it up there off the middle. Leon, that'll advance the runner. Tulowitzki up to second and stopping there. And a wild pitch.
And Porcello just overthrowing the curveball this time, and nothing Leon could do. That ball bounced almost on the grass. And then got by Leon, so a man in scoring position with 2 outs.
Well, there is no denying this is a very tight-knit group, as John Farrell has said. It reminds him of the 13 Red Sox, who always seem to be on the same page. 1-2, bounced again, but a good stop by Sandy. Went back to that curveball, and that year ended rather well with another world championship. John Farrell has eyes on another. Sox ahead 1-0 in the 4th, and a 2-2. Lashed foul. Pilar, the center fielder for Toronto, he's in the hunt for a Gold Glove. He's mentioned along with Jackie Bradley and Kiermaier at Tampa Bay, and Mike Trout among the center fielders. That's a pretty good battle. Here's the 2-2, not to be made. Time is called.
Pilar always seems to play great against the Red Sox. You know, it makes it play defensively, something offensively. I mean, just a good player.
Down he goes. A cut and a miss once again. Porcello elevating out of the zone and getting them to chase, and strands a runner at second. 1-0 Boston. Gloves like Hanley Ramirez at franklinsports.com/custom. Enter the code NESSON20 to receive 20% off at checkout. Franklin proud to be the official batting glove of Major League Baseball. Red Sox won, Toronto nothing here in the last half of the 4th inning. Hanley will lead things off. He struck out in first. But a home run shy of a 30 home run, 100 RBI campaign. And what a charge it's been in the month of September for him. He's hit 10 home runs this month. He leads the majors with 62 RBI since the All-Star break. Not just the American League, but the majors. Oh, 2.
I thought one of the real nice moments in the Red Sox celebration was he and Brian Butterfield getting together. They put in hours and hours of work in spring training and all season to make Hanley a good first baseman. And they are really close. You know, you have to be when you put that much time in and effort with a coach and you get positive results. You know, both parties feel very good about it.
No question about it. I still think what Hanley's done this season is undersold a little bit with all the numbers and the success at first base, because so many guys have had great seasons on this ball club.
Yeah.
I mean, Mookie Betts may be the MVP. Rick Porcello could win the Cy Young. David Ortiz going out. Certainly not like a man who's going out. An incredible year. Dustin Pedroia is having a sensational year. But here's Hanley Ramirez at 110 RBIs. And his best month has been the last month. Two and two. You're talking about Brian Butterfield, who's in the Yankee system when Jeter was coming up. And Derek Jeter always swore by Brian Butterfield. It gives him a lot of credit for the player he became. And then when Jeter retired and he played in his last All-Star game, the Red Sox coaching staff had the honor of coaching that game. And here came Jeter up to Brian Butterfield, gave him a huge hug, and you could hear it through one of the microphones. And he said to Brian Butterfield, "I love you, Butter," because of all the work he had done in the minor leagues with Jeter to make him a pretty good defensive shortstop. 2-2 and foul away again.
One of the advantages we have traveling with the ball club and doing the games is, you know, we get to see all the extra work that goes on prior to a ball game, you know, early in the afternoon before regular batting practice even starts. And, you know, that's where the practice becomes very personal.
Big rip and a foul. Still 2-2. Long at bat here for Hanley. Next pitch will be number 9. Red Sox ahead 1-0 in the 4th. Xander Bogaerts on deck against Marco Estrada. And a 2-2 again. And outside, good take there to fill up the count.
Tried that changeup and tried it away from Ramirez, just missed the outside corner. I'd be surprised to see it again on the 3-2 count. Looks like he will throw it again.
Rocketed foul. I think Hanley was guessing along with that. And ripped it foul. Estrada could be a very tough guy to hit. He had a stretch of 12 consecutive starts in which he allowed 5 hits or less. Get hits off him, you earn it. And the 3-2. Fastball that time, but he missed. That's a heck of an at bat right there. That's 11 pitches and he takes ball 4.
See the reaction by Russell Martin, the catcher. He thought he had strike 3, and he was ready to throw that ball down to third base and get it around the infield. And he's still angry about this call. It's the fastball. Is it inside? It looks like it is, just by a little bit. But he wanted that desperately.
Well, Martin looked like he had been punched in the stomach, and Estrada thought he had it too. That was a good take.
It was a dangerous take.
Yeah, you better make sure.
You're leaving it in the hands of the umpire.
Xander Bogaerts is 0 for 1, but he got robbed by Donaldson on a terrific diving play in the second inning. Strike 1. Sox fans looking for the best seats to the postseason. Check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace, RedSoxReplay.com. The best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game.
Big hole between first and second for Bogaerts.
Back to that changeup at 77, but it missed.
A lot of times when Bogaerts goes to the opposite field, it's in the air or on the line. And that's why you see that big gap. Plus the fact they're playing in double play position. The second baseman and shortstop.
Estrada actually not a big ground ball guy. One and 2 on Xander. Only gets 33% of his outs on the ground. That's the 5th lowest in the majors. Certainly tense inside their dugout tonight. Meaningful games for the Red Sox, but really serious for Toronto. Skipped up there and stopped by Martin.
Yeah, I found it interesting, you know, during the Ortiz ceremony, the Blue Jays normally, you know, would be watching what was going on in the field. No, they were out there running, stretching, you know, paying no attention really to what was going on. I mean, they know what they got to do. And that's play baseball.
Tight wild card race. 4 teams in the picture. Only 2 are going to make it. 2-2 waved at and missed, and down goes Xander. He strikes out. So 1 away. Jackie Bradley coming up.
That's the second changeup tonight coming. A second strikeout coming on the changeup. One to Brock Holt in the 3rd inning, and that time to Bogaerts.
Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC, Jim Rice, and Steve Lyons will have an update on the playoff race. Jackie's 0 for 1. He has grounded to short. Ramirez on at first. The pitch count could wind up being a factor for Estrada. You saw the long at bat by Hanley Ramirez. Red Sox have made him work a couple of times tonight. He's thrown 81 pitches with only 1 away in the 4th inning. Popped up into right. Out goes Travis. On comes Bautista. And the second baseman has it with an over-the-shoulder catch, and Hanley back to first.
Made that look pretty easy, but that is not an easy play for Devin Travis out there at second base. Anytime you've got to go with your back toward home plate, it is very difficult to run, keep your eye on the baseball, and make the catch. Going away. But he never takes his eye off the flight of the ball. It's a good thing he made that catch, too, because I don't think Bautista was going to get there.
I think you're right. 2 down for Sandy Leon. Sandy reached on an error by Donaldson, the 3rd baseman, in the 2nd inning. He takes ball 1. The Sox are 18-8 in September, tied for their highest win total in any month this season. Also won 18 in May. Red Sox have not won 19 in September since 1985. That team went 19-9. Little looper off the end of the bat, finds home in right field. Ramirez to second base on a single by Sandy Leon. And the Sox have runners at first and second with 2 down.
Well, Sandy Leon had been 1 for his last 24, and he gets a changeup this time that's down in the zone and is able to go down with it and hit that line drive up over the head of Travis at second base for the base hit. So the Red Sox have a man in scoring position for Benintendi.
Benintendi 0 for 1. He has popped out foul to third. A chance for the Red Sox here against Estrada with a 1-0 Boston lead. Andrew trying to snap an 0 for 9. If he can do it here, it may bring in another run.
Missed a good one there. That was a changeup, but it was not in a good spot. Inside part of the plate to a lefty. Pretty good pitch to hit, but again, you know, the off speed of it is what fools you.
And he'll throw it at any point in the count.
Oh yeah, he's tough to read. He really is. You know, it's almost like when you're in control of the count as a hitter, you better look for a changeup, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you look for a changeup? As a hitter, did you ever really do that?
I never did. I'm sure there are guys that do that. Certainly look for breaking balls in certain situations. But this guy, I mean, you've always got to have in the back of your mind that, you know, he's going to feature his best pitch.
Seen him throw it tonight on 3-1. Here's the 2-1. And pop foul back out of play. Went with a fastball there. Tonight, the first pregame ceremony to honor Big Papi. Then David promptly went out in his first at bat and ripped an RBI single. He does have a flair. The 2-2. Ground ball to the second baseman. Off the mud and up in time to get him. And retire the side, so the Red Sox build a little threat, but nothing comes of that, although the pitch count goes up for Estrada, up to 89. Is brought to you by Santander Bank. You're all right with Simply Right checking from Santander Bank. Sullivan Tire and Complete Auto Service. And by Subaru Retailers of New England. At Fenway, 1-0. Red Sox leading Toronto. Game 1 of a key 3-game series to end the regular season. And Rick Porcello in command. So far he's allowed 4 hits. Here's the number 9 man, Travis, who's 0 for 1 with a chopper to third base. He is 2 for 10 lifetime against Porcello. Fly ball well hit toward the wall out there in left center, rising up, and that ball is off the green. Jackie Bradley will play it, and into second base with a double is Travis. That's how the 5th inning gets underway here for Toronto.
Yeah, and without the wind blowing in, that may have been out of the ballpark. Solid contact here, and it looked like it had enough to get over that green monster, but the wind knocked it down, and you can see where it hit just about halfway up the wall. But the all-important leadoff man in scoring position with nobody out.
Sends up the leadoff man, Ezekiel Carrera, who's gone 1 for 2 with a single.
Brock Holt playing in close at third base, and Hanley about even with the first base bag.
Showing bunt, gets it down, and nobody makes the play. It's going to roll on the grass for a base hit. So Carrera with a single, that puts him on at first and third.
Well, what happened there is Brock Holt, who was playing third, realized that he was not going to be able to make a play on it. So he goes back to cover the third base bag. Porcello looks out. He thinks Holt's going to make the play. Now watch Holt come in. He reads he can't make the play. It's closer to the pitcher. He goes back to third base. Porcello didn't notice that, and the ball just drops in.
And now the hammer's coming up. Here's Donaldson, who is 2 for 2 tonight. The reigning American League MVP. Hit 41 home runs last year. He has 37 this season. And that 1-0 lead is very tenuous. Breaking ball popped up into right. Circling now Betts, charging on it. He makes the play, tagging up. Here comes Travis. Here's the throw, and will not get him, and this game is tied. So Donaldson with RBI number 99, and that ties the game at 1.
At first, the way Mookie Betts was charging this ball, I wasn't quite sure they were going to send the runner, but they do. And it's really not even close. Throw a little bit off target, as you can see there, and not even a slide needed by Travis.
1 out, a run in front of Encarnacion, who has struck out and popped up. 33-year-old from the Dominican Republic. Goes after the very first one and flies it routinely to right field. And a catch by Mookie Betts for the second out. Quiet so far, Encarnacion. He's 0 for 3.
They're doing a good job so far keeping the ball away from him and making him use the big part of the ballpark.
Bautista now is walked and flied out. Still with that menacing style where he hangs out over the plate. There's a high fly ball left field. Way back it goes, and forget it. It is out of here. Bautista with home run number 22. He has long glove hitting in this ballpark. And Toronto takes the lead with a 2-run shot.
Bautista has had some big home runs here down the stretch for the Blue Jays, and put this one in that category. They want the pitch away, but it stays inside. It's the two-seam fastball, and Bautista knows it right away. Wind, no wind, he knows he got all of that.
He had been 0 for his previous 13 before blasting that one to make it a 3-1 game. 3-1 Toronto. Hasn't had the home run year that he's had in the past, but he has just propelled them into a 3-1 lead. And here's Russell Martin. He's popped up and grounded a short 0 for 2 tonight.
By the way, these Blue Jays second in the league in home runs to the Baltimore Orioles.
Martin's hit 20 and he pops this one up back behind the plate. Leon flipping the mask, almost hit the umpire with it, but makes the play. And that'll retire the side. But Jose Bautista, Joey Bats strikes for a 2-run homer to make it 3-1 Toronto. Alexis Dealer, and of course now he has a 3-1 lead. He's gone 4, has walked 2 men, 3 hits and 1 earned run, 89 pitches, so that's how he'll start the 5th inning. Up to 89, and it's Pedroia, Holt, and Betts. Dustin tonight a strikeout and a single. So Bautista hammering a long home run to put Toronto in the lead. That'll be popped up back behind home plate. Martin looking for room, but he'll have none. They already have bullpen activity. Loop the left-hander and Biagini the right-hander. Petey with a 5-game hitting streak. Skipped up there. And on Wednesday, he doubled for the 374th time and passed Jim Rice for 7th most in Red Sox history in that category. If he gets a hit here, it's going to be his 200th hit of the season. There's a shot out toward the wall. High and deep, headed back there. Catches the top of that scoreboard, and he's got himself another double. And there is hit number 200. That is a great moment for a hitter.
That certainly is. 200 hits in a season for Dustin Pedroia, and put a double back in that column also. Right off the top of the scoreboard that time, and the Red Sox trying to get those runs back here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Second time in Pedroia's career he has reached that 200 hit figure. P. Walker, the pitching coach, walking out, and Brock Holt about to step in next. 36 doubles for Pedroia. Time now for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's the always dry Tom Caron. TC, thank you. And of course, the Orioles and Toronto tied for the wild card lead. Brock Holt with a walk and a run. He's also struck out third baseman Donaldson, is in against a bunt, but he's not bunting.
I get a kick out of Tom Caron talking about the climate control. Have you ever been in his studio? It is freezing in there. It's like David Letterman used to keep his studio when he had a show.
Right.
I mean, you go in there and freeze, and that's the way TC likes it, nice and cool.
You can hang meat in there.
Oh.
One strike on Brock. Mookie Betts on deck. Red Sox down 3-1 in the 5th inning. That's one of the things we noticed when we got off the plane in the wee hours of the morning from New York. It had dropped down to about 50 degrees.
Yeah, it was a little chilly last night.
Fall really arrived while we were on the road swing. Popped him up. Tulowitzki. Plenty of time to get beneath that and put it away. So no advance to the runner there. One man gone. Tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, highlights and reaction from the Bruins preseason game in Detroit. Plus, hear from Bill Belichick. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. Betts 0 for 2. He has flied to left and grounded to the pitcher. And David Ortiz after Mookie. As the honoring of Big Papi and his illustrious career began here tonight, with the first of the pregame ceremonies. Much more to come throughout the weekend. Many special guests as well. That's over but low. Next pitch is going to be number 99 for Estrada. So he is not long for this game. At times you can argue that Marco Estrada has been one of the 3 or 4 toughest pitchers the Red Sox face in a given season. Cross for a strike.
You got to look at it this way. You know, we think of the Toronto Blue Jays as a tremendous offensive ball club, and they are a power hitting offense. They are number 1 in ERA in pitching in the American League.
And the 3 best guys are going this weekend.
And they've given up the fewest runs.
They've got Jay Happ going tomorrow. He's won 20 games. And then Aaron Sanchez on Sunday with a 3.06 ERA. And some of the nastiest stuff you're going to see. And Estrada tonight. Here's the 2-2 to Mookie. He would not offer. Matchups are brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's official website for deals. Red Sox like who they are sending out there as well. Erod going tomorrow, coming off 13 strikeouts. David Price on Sunday in the regular season finale. Popped up again. Smoke into foul territory. 2 down.
Let's see if they go to the left-hander Aaron Loop here now. With the pitch count the way it is and Ortiz coming up, doesn't look like Gibbons is ready to make a move.
Fans again rising all over Fenway. As David prepares to bat for the third time, he has an RBI single. He's also grounded off of Estrada. Sharp ground ball that slammed off the pitcher, but he recovered to throw him out. So 2 down with Dustin Pedroia second. Started the inning with a double. David wound up to hit it, but he knocks a foul for strike 1.
Yeah, got a fastball, a cut fastball. It looked like that time had a home run swing, but fouling it straight back. There's that little cut on the fastball right there. Not much of one, but enough to throw off the swing a little bit of David Ortiz. Tulowitzki over in the shift.
One ball, one strike. David with exactly the number of home runs he hit last year, 37. 2-1. He's the all-time leader against Toronto with 70 doubles, 61 homers, 189 RBIs, and 133 extra base hits. They can't wait for him to retire. That's a bullet, but foul. He hopped all over it. 2-2. Now available, your official Big Papi translucent last game half scale bat for $69.95. Call Big Time Bats at 866-280-BATS or go to BigTimeBats.com right now. Just a bit high to make it 3-2.
Martin checking with the umpire on that last call. He thought maybe he got the top of the strike zone.
There's a shot, line to right, deep. Bautista back. Oh, he makes the play on the warning track. David really ripped it hard, but Bautista tracks it down not far from the wall, and the Red Sox strand one. 3-1 Toronto. TC Jim Rice and Steve Lyons will break it down. They will recap tonight's on-field ceremony honoring David Ortiz. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but W.B. Mason. To the 6th inning and up and over the helmet of Tulowitzki, who has singled and been called out on strikes. It is 3-1 Toronto. Blue Jays feeling like every one of these games over the weekend are must-haves. Fly to center field. Plenty of space there for JBJ to make that catch. One away in the 6th inning. Back to the pregame. And David, with some of the young people that his foundation has really helped medically, and of course the painting. He's getting a lot of paintings. This is a really special one by the famous artist Peter Max. His smoke, he has lined out and struck out tonight. You got to have a lot of wall space.
I don't know what he's going to do with all the stuff that he has.
Pilar on deck. I don't think he has to worry about that smashed phone at the Orioles game, and that's going to wind up in a garage.
I'll bet that's gone already.
Might be gone already. Might still be in Baltimore. 2-1 popped up. That'll twist back out of play. Well, it really is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a rare piece of Red Sox history. That original portrait of David Ortiz we saw earlier by Peter Max. And the graphic posters are hand-signed by the artist and by Big Papi. You can order one at redsoxfoundation.org/Ortiz. And that's going to be in there to get him. Smoke set down on strikes. The Red Sox Foundation in Nessa, with all proceeds going to the David Ortiz Children's Fund. You're hoping to raise $1 million for David's foundation. Certainly hope you can participate. Quite a keepsake. 2 down, bases empty for Pilar. Fouls out one away. He's lined to second and struck out. One big cut and a miss.
Yeah, good changeup. Not too many changeups tonight from Porcello, but that was a very good one at the bottom of the strike zone.
Porcello's pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. And the 0-2 to the center fielder. Keeping an eye on that Cleveland score, and the Indians have gone in front of Kansas City 4-1. Right now the Indians are a half game behind the Red Sox as far as that home field advantage in the division series is concerned. This could get very interesting over the weekend.
Yeah, Cleveland with the lead. You see Baltimore with their 8-1 lead over New York.
Little roller foul. Now, if Cleveland is a half game in front of the Red Sox after Sunday's play, the Indians would have to play that makeup game against the Tigers to determine if Boston or Cleveland gets the home field in the division series. That's best 3 out of 5. Now, if Cleveland is a half game back, the Sox win it because they own the tiebreaker based on going 4-2 against Cleveland during the regular season. Could get really interesting though. The 2-2 spoiled again. And that's just the American League playoff picture. How about the National League?
You know, honestly, I haven't paid that much attention to it. Been so focused on this.
Now, the Mets have a slender lead over San Francisco, what, a half a game, and St. Louis is only a game back in the wild card race. So that's really fascinating too. And Washington has 2 more wins than the Dodgers going into the weekend. And they know they're going to play each other in the division series, but where it will start and where it finishes, that's still up in the air. Chop foul.
That St. Louis game ended kind of strange last night. A double that apparently was not a ground rule double.
Should have been a dead ball.
Should have been a dead ball. And they couldn't find the umpires. The umpires would go off the field.
Outside for a ball. There is a time limit on how a manager is supposed to appeal. And Brian Price, the Cincinnati manager, didn't get up on the top step and show the umpires, hey, I'm thinking about appealing this. And so 30 seconds went by. The celebration ensued because it was a game-winning run. Shouldn't have been, but it was. And the umpires walked away. And that was it. And they said, well, you didn't get up there and you didn't appeal it. And that's going to be down low for ball 4. That just missed. Looked like it caught the bottom of the zone, but Pilar is on.
Yeah, it looked like a good pitch there by Porcello. He goes to the changeup down and away, and it looks like it did have the bottom of the strike zone, but not getting the call.
So rare to see Rick Porcello walk as many as 2 men in 6 innings, but he's done that tonight. Here's Devin Travis. He doubled and scored his last time. Activity in the bullpen. It's Matt Barnes. Rick sitting at 98 pitches. 3-1 Toronto in the 6th. One and one. Porcello hasn't lost this year to Toronto. He's 3-0 against them in 4 starts. And 7-7 lifetime against the Jays. Here's number 100. Line down the right field line, but that's going to be a foul ball. Shy of the pesky pole. Rick averaging 103 pitches per start. So far tonight's last 7 hits, including a home run by Jose Bautista, which is the difference in the game. That was in the 5th when he belted the 2-run homer to put them up 3-1. And loop toward right field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Pilar on his way. Betts is up and gunning, and the throw will not get him. Travis with his 2nd hit puts him on the corners with 2 down.
He's been a pest from the 9 spot in the batting order. A big double to lead off the 5th inning where they scored 3 runs in that inning. And now an opposite field hit on a 2-seam fastball that really gets him right around the label of the bat. But able to shoot it into right field. The throw from Mookie Betts is not going to be there in time. And out comes Carl Willis, the pitching coach, to talk to Porcello.
So all this happening with 2 down. He got Tulowitzki to fly out to begin the inning, and they struck out Smoke. And he disputed the call on ball 4 on Pilar. And he had a beef. But Pilar now on at 3rd base and Travis at 1st.
And one thing you've got to be aware of if you're the Red Sox with Carrera coming up is he's always a possibility to bunt even with two outs. He's got that man at 3rd base with Pilar who has very good speed. So I mean that has to be in the back of your mind. You've got to protect against that.
Yeah, he's already bunted for a single tonight among his 2 hits. So Carrera with excellent speed in on the left side with 2 away. Tried to check. They look at 3rd, but no swing, says Gorman. Toronto 3, Red Sox 1 in the 6th inning. And Porcello with a 1-0 pitch. And a very late time granted to Carrera from Mark Carlson.
Yeah, you could see that coming because Porcello held on to the ball for a long time, and it was just a matter of time before Carrera called timeout. But it was late.
1-0, and he popped him up. Bogart's drifting. He's got it. And the side is retired. 2 men left. We're in the middle of the 6th inning at Fenway. Toronto leading 3-1 over the Sox. The Boston Red Sox and the rest of America run on Dunkin' because Dunkin' iced coffee is consistently smooth and delicious. Dunkin' Donuts coffee is the #1 coffee in New England. The Boston Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Hanley Ramirez about to take on Biagini out of their bullpen with Estrada stepping aside. And earlier this season, that was on September 11. That's what Hanley did to this right-hander. And a very long home run to center field. One of his 29. So Estrada departing after 5. Ground ball weakly hit toward the shortstop, and Tulowitzki slings on to get him. Biagini lately has not been terribly effective. His last 13 games he's posted an ERA near 6, but overall a .274 earned run average. Brad Ziegler starting to get going in the Red Sox pen. So looking like the night is over for Rick Porcello. We shall see. It definitely is for Estrada, who went 5. Pitched long enough for the win. Allowing the Red Sox 1 run. That was in the 1st inning. A 3-1 Toronto lead. Bogarts has been robbed of a hit by the third baseman Donaldson and struck out.
Pretty good snapping curveball right there by Biagini. So far we've seen his fastball that kind of jammed Hanley a little bit, and very good breaking ball right there to Bogaerts.
1-1. Foul that one away. Xander batting 6th in this one. Right behind Hanley Ramirez, right in front of Jackie Bradley Jr. One, two. Just got a piece to hang in there.
Yeah, just getting on top of that curveball that time and hitting the top of the baseball to foul it off as the rain is picking up a little bit here at Fenway Park. It has been playable. It's starting to get a little bit harder right now.
It is an official game. Biagini says yes to Martin, and the 1-2 will not be made. Time is asked for and granted.
I think he said yes to a high fastball. No sign put down. They're going to go with the high fastball.
Line drive to right. That one's sailing into the corner. Fair ball. It bounces into the muck and the mire. There he goes on his way to third. And he's going to get there. He dives in. A triple for Xander Bogaerts.
Now that's Bogaerts right there. I mean, he gets a pitch up in the zone. He gets his hands inside and above the baseball and rockets it down that right field line. That's what we saw almost all of last season from Xander. Of course, they've been pitching him differently this season. Makes a decision on his own to go to third. He's checking the play out by himself and into the mud for the 1-out triple.
His first of the season. Jackie Bradley now. He is grounded out, popped up. Looking to bring this run in. The infield is backed up with one away. In there for strike one. Jackie 87 RBIs on the year. Jackie had just 1 RBI on the road trip. So he can equal that right here. The 0-1 pitch. That missed. Fans really hanging in there tonight despite the rain, which has only picked up over the last 10 or 15 minutes. Here's the 1-1. Eyes behind in the count.
It's one of the problems hitters have when it rains. You see Jackie trying to get that water off the bill of his cap, his helmet.
And Biagini with a 1-2. That tied him up and struck him out. So there are 2 gone. Let's go to Garrett.
Obi, don't miss Big Poppy's final regular season at bats here at Fenway Park by signing up for NESN's Poppy Alerts, free text alerts that we'll send you before every at bat, plus reminders about this weekend's pregame celebrations and when you can see encore presentations of NESN's 2 David Ortiz specials. Just text Poppy to 536-536. All this made possible by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Message and data rates may apply. Obi, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Garen. Sandy Leon now trying to pick up this runner from third base. Now the 4th inning, Red Sox left 2 men on. Last inning, Pedroia started out the 5th with a double, but nobody advanced him. Now Xander Bogaerts at third base, but 2 down after his triple. Leon with a base hit last time, and the count 1-1.
That's a little cut fastball, that 91-mile-an-hour pitch that he throws. He throws both the fastball, the cut fastball, and we've seen the curveball.
Sandy's been a very good hitter at Fenway, .331. So look at Rick Porcello. Skipped and knocked down by Martin.
A nice play by Martin to block that ball and knock it down, because that would have been a gift run for the Red Sox. This ball going down directly into the dirt. And Martin backhands it to knock it down.
The 2-1 home. 2-2.
95 with that fastball to the outside part of the plate.
Toronto 3, Red Sox 1, 6th inning.
Shaking off the fastball, the cut fastball, the curveball. What does he want? Wants a changeup.
2-2 to Sandy. Oh, he chased it. He chased the pitch way out of the strike zone, and down he goes. So back-to-back Ks by Biagini, and nothing comes of the triple. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. The Massachusetts Highway Safety Division. Be alert and slow down in work zones. And by your New England Audi dealers. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Garen Austin with you on a rainy night at Fenway. Just 2 more games in the regular season after this one. Brad Ziegler coming out of the bullpen. He's been so very effective through a perfect 7th inning Wednesday night against the Yankees as he got Sanchez, McCann, and Castro. He's only allowed 1 hit over his last 6 appearances. He looks postseason ready.
This is a pretty good challenge for him. Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Batista.
The 1-0. Donaldson with a couple of hits. He's also driven in a run tonight. High chop with a foul ball. One of the first times Donaldson began to get noticed was the summer of 2006. He was an all-star catcher in a Cape League for the Harwich Mariners. At the time, he was a student at Auburn University. Had a very good summer. He drove in 21 runs on the Cape. To the third baseman, snatched by Holt on the move, and he'll get him. One man away. Right now, you can get up to 60 months with no interest on anything at Jordan's Furniture. Furnish one room or your entire room. Best of all, you get to enjoy it now. Visit Jordans.com for details. Encarnacion has gone 0 for 3 tonight. 3-1 Toronto in front in the 7th. He has struck out, pop foul to first, and fly to right. So Porcello went the first 6 and allowed 3 runs, 8 hits. High chopper again. Glove by Brock Holt. He skips it, and he got it there in time and hauled in by Hanley Ramirez for out number 2.
They may take a look at this. It was a great play by Hanley Ramirez at first base, but the first base coach immediately looked into the dugout to tell him to take a look at it. See, Hanley's glove has to come back to make the play, but I still think he had it in the glove before the foot got to the bag.
Yeah, they're not going to challenge it.
That's a nice play by Ramirez. You know, good job judging where that hop was going to go.
And an attaboy from Brock Holt for his first baseman. Two-way Bautista. A walk, a fly to right, and a long home run. He has long said Fenway is his favorite road ballpark. He really leans on that monster. And he did it again in the 5th.
You know, he also made a fine defensive play on David Ortiz tonight in a hard hit line drive to right field.
He had a long way to run back there. Little dribbler. Ziegler off the mound trying to get to it. That's going to be a base hit. So he hits one 400 feet, and this one doesn't even get 80 feet.
Yeah, breaking ball from Ziegler and right toward the end of the bat, and you knew as soon as contact was made, even if Ziegler gets it, they got no play on Bautista at first base.
So a base hit for Bautista, his second hit tonight. They'll send up Russell Martin, who's popped up twice and grounded to short. 0 for 3. Toronto in the lead 3-1. And Brad Ziegler from the set. He will deal ball 1. Bautista at first base with 2 away, and that's going to be inside to make it 2-0. Baltimore still on top 8-1 over the Yankees there in the 8th inning. Barnes is up for the second time in the Sox pen. Fouled away. Catch an all-new episode of Dining Playbook tomorrow morning at 9 on NESN. Billy's hosting a tailgate at Gillette Stadium. Dining Playbook at NESN, driven by your New England Chevy dealers. Martin, born in Quebec, Canada, playing for Canada's only Major League Baseball team. In there for a strike. You think Montreal will get a franchise back?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. I don't know. It was kind of fun when we were up there, and certainly that was the buzz that you know, they were trying to get a team, and they need a new stadium, obviously.
Yeah. First and foremost, get out of Olympic Stadium. That was cavernous, but it's a great city.
I'm thinking of another place, Vancouver.
Yeah. Great spot. We love going to Toronto. One of our favorite cities.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best stops in the league. There's no question about that.
Good restaurant town. Folks very friendly. 3-2, and that's going to miss outside. So an infield single and now a walk, and Toronto with a couple of base runners for Tulowitzki due up next. Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC, Jim Rice, and Steve Lyons will look back at tonight's pregame ceremony honoring Big Papi. Tulowitzki has struck out, single, fly to center. Brad Ziegler trying to keep it close here. 3-1 Blue Jays in the 7th. Red Sox will have due up Benintendi, Pedroia, and Brock Holt when we go to the bottom of the 7th. The 1-0 pitch, and that's in there for a strike. It had been raining 10 minutes ago. I would say moderately hard, but it has really almost stopped at this point. Looks like it's going to be around all weekend, though. Here's the 1-1 from Ziegler. 2-1.
My guess is this would be the last batter that Ziegler would face. I would think that when if Smoke gets to the plate, they would go for Barnes.
The fans battling in the stands. Blue Jay fans, Red Sox fans. We told you there were a lot of Toronto fans here. Come on and missed. 2-2.
Yeah, they've had huge crowds, obviously, up in Toronto through this month of September, and they had brought a lot of them on the road with them.
Two down, 2 on, and a 2-2 to Tulowitzki. Popped up. Racing back Ramirez and Pedroia coming on Betts. Hanley lunges and he makes the play in fair territory. And a fan gets a hug. Hanley's made some really fine plays here tonight. This was the best of them. Walt Flexvold.
A great play by Hanley Ramirez. I mean, over the shoulder, was not even looking at the baseball, and into the glove it goes. And then at the end, a nice moment.
DeWalt Flexvold is the official power tool of the Boston Red Sox. So it is on to the last half of the seventh. 3-1 Toronto. Benintendi trying to get the offense going here. The Red Sox have been held to 5 hits. Red Sox offensively have been pretty quiet since the 11-game winning streak came to an end.
Yeah, they have. They really have been.
That one stroked toward the gap. That's going to get down. Bautista trying to cut it off. Benintendi wants 2. Here's the throw. And it won't get him well offline. And a good start here in the 7th.
As soon as you make contact there, if you've been Benintendi, you know that it's going to be a 2-base hit because Bautista's got so far to go for it. It's a breaking ball. It's down low. It's about shin high. And he's able to take this well to the right of Bautista, who has to back up. Once you see that as a base runner, you know that means second base.
That's the 3rd extra base hit over the last 3 innings for the Red Sox. No one scored. Not yet, but this is a leadoff double. Brett Cecil throwing in a pen now for Toronto. Veteran left-hander.
Now Cecil getting ready for David Ortiz.
Another good night for Dustin Pedroia. 2 for 3, a single, a double. He has racked up his 200th hit of the season tonight. Now trying to deliver a run as he looks at a strike. Brock Holt up next. Last 4 or 5 games, Dustin has caught fire again. Moving to October, he won't chase. With the 2 hits tonight, Pedroia now has a 30-game hitting streak against Toronto. That's the longest ever against the club by anybody. Line foul on a play. The most popular way to follow the postseason is with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy game day, live game video, news, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat on your favorite devices right now. 1-2 on Dustin. Benintendi is second. Out front of the plate. Martin spins, throws, and he threw it away. Up into the tarp. Down to third, Benintendi. And Pedroia is safe at first base. And I think Gibbons is coming out to argue whether Pedroia was in the running lane at the time of the throw.
I think you're exactly right, Dave. I think that's what he's going to question right now. And Pedroia is going to be allowed to go to second base right now because that ball did get caught in the trap. Now watch Dustin run down the line and let's see where he is. Is he on the line? Right there, it looks like he is. It was just an errant throw, but he did tag first base. He's got to go back and tag first base right there. And then the ball got caught under the tarp, and he's going to be awarded second base. So the Red Sox may have a second and third situation here as the umpires are going to get together.
I'm just very disappointed that Petey didn't dance around first a little bit before he touched it. I mean, did the Fred Astaire thing.
You know, I really think the wet conditions caused that throw to first base.
Now they're going to send Benintendi home. And he's going to be allowed to score on this play. Remember, he had doubled, so getting 2 bases on this. And so the Red Sox have pulled to within 1.
Here we go again, and Pedroia now on the line, so that's not going to be a case of being out of the line. He has to come back, tag the bag as he felt like he missed it the first time, is awarded second base, and Benintendi is awarded home plate.
So it will be a single and a two-base error by Martin. Wound up doing a lot of damage on that play with that errant toss. And Benintendi awarded home plate. So it's a 3-2 game. Nobody out. Pedroia at second. And Brock Holt the batter.
And here's where Brock's got to think about pulling the ball, getting the ball to the right side to advance Pedroia to third base with less than 2 outs. They're playing Brock in at first and third.
And swinging away and fouling it away for strike one.
I mean, obviously you want a base hit in this situation, but if you're going to make an out, you've got to advance a base runner.
Very costly error there by Martin. And the 0-1 coming. Off the fists and fouled back out of play. 0-2. Activity in the Red Sox bullpen. Koji Uehara. I don't think you can overestimate the value of Koji coming back the way he has.
It seemed like when he returned to the Red Sox bullpen, the whole bullpen got better. Everybody.
Yeah, overnight. And the 8th inning was solved. 0-2. Off the catcher. Pedroia will advance to third. And Martin's having a tough inning.
That's the way to get him over, Brock. Just take a changeup that bounces in the dirt. Tries the changeup, bouncing up over the glove of Martin. Looked like one that maybe he could have blocked. But he didn't get down on his knees. He just tried to catch it. And that's a gift for the Red Sox right there. So now the infield comes in for the Blue Jays with nobody out.
Wild pitch in the 1-2. Foul right there at the plate. Again, nobody out. And for the Red Sox, the tying run at third base. Inning started with the Benintendi double. And Pedroia with a base hit. And a 2-base error on the throw by Martin to produce another run. Now the Red Sox can tie it up. Chopper, runner holding. Tulowitzki throws and gets him. So Brock Holt is 0 for 3, and Betts is next.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, we call for the contact play, but it's not generally put on with nobody out in the inning. So that time, by bringing the infield in, they save a run. See, Pedroia's got no intentions of going on that ball that's hit on the ground.
Mookie Betts tonight is flied to left, grounded back to the pitcher, and popped up to first, so he's due. Pedroia 90 feet away with one down. Mookie Betts may be the 2016 MVP. He's 90 feet away from the man who won last year's MVP, Donaldson. Man, the 0-1. Up the middle and a base hit. Mookie Betts coming through again to chase in Dustin Pedroia, and this game is tied at 3. He makes his case every day. And so Gibbons is out, go to the bullpen.
Right back up the middle on a fastball for Betts. He tops it, as you can see, but nobody is going to be able to make the play on this, especially with the infield pulled in. Maybe a chance with them back, but the run would have scored anyway. So all of a sudden we got a tie ball game.
Red Sox baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Sox have just tied the game 3-3. This is our favorite sign tonight. I love that one. Cecil coming out of the bullpen. These two have encountered each other 31 times. Ortiz and the left-hander. And David is just 6 for 31 off him.
The left-handers have really been struggling against Cecil too recently.
Inside a ball on deck is Hanley Ramirez. On at first is Mookie Betts, who just singled in Dustin Pedroia. And the Red Sox have knotted it up 3-3. He takes another ball and they count 2-0. So no decision for Marco Estrada tonight and no decision for Rick Porcello tonight. And the 2-0. That's a strike.
Did not give in with the fastball on the 2-0 count. Went right back to the curveball against Ortiz.
A shot drilled down the line, and she is gone.
It's like Ortiz had one thing on his mind in that at bat, and that was seeing a fastball. He let the breaking balls go. 2-0 count, breaking ball, let it go. 2-1 count, fastball, right there, opening up early. He expected that pitch, he got that pitch, and he takes it out of the ballpark.
A master of the moment. Red Sox in front 5-3. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer, Speedway donates to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway near you and pick up your free Speedy Rewards card today and start earning points. And David out on the top step got the curtain call. We have seen that so many times. Number 541. You knew this weekend was not going to pass without one of those moments, and maybe more. From David Ortiz, number 38. So here on a Friday night of his final regular season at Fenway Park, final 3 games here in Boston of the regular season, he has driven in 3 runs. And a 1-2, and that's going to be in there for strike 3.
Let's look back at the pitch that Ortiz hit for a home run. Now remember, keep in mind, he took a bunch of curveballs. Watch him open up a little bit early. Look at the front foot going down the first base line. The shoulder came out a little bit early. He's looking in one spot, and that is middle in for something fast. A hard fastball or even a breaking ball inside, but he had one area he was looking in and took it out of the ballpark. Look at how he opens up. Now he's not looking for a ball away there.
By the way, he has just tied Encarnacion for the league lead in RBIs. So Papi has quite a bit to swing for, because he could win the RBI crown at the age of 40 in his last year. Just amazing.
He is so smart. You know, with years comes knowledge, and he is so smart. I mean, that was so obvious on what he was looking for there.
"38 homers, 127 RBIs, and a wave and a miss. Down goes Xander Bogaerts, and that'll do it for the Red Sox. But they rally big time to score 4, and of course, number 34 with an absolute shot down the line to touch them all, and the Red Sox lead it 5-3. Downloading NESN's free interactive collection of his greatest moments, from on-field milestones and postseason heroics to off-the-field fun, including appearances on late-night shows and Saturday Night Live. Go to NESN.com/Ortiz34. Now the Red Sox give the baseball to Koji Uehara, and in his role in the 8th inning, he's been golden. This will be his 50th appearance of the season, but the bullpen was completely changed for the rest of the season when he came back after his injury, and a lot of people didn't think he would return, but what a difference it's made as he has steadied the ship. Red Sox leading here 5-3. Hits are even at 9, and David Ortiz has homered for the 541st time in his illustrious career.
Yeah, all he's done tonight is drive in a run back in the 1st inning on a opposite field line drive, and of course that home run coming in the 7th.
It'll be the bottom third of the order here for Toronto, which is Smoke, Pilar, and Travis, but you know they can swing the bats. Cleveland has a big lead on Kansas City, 7-1 there in the 8th inning. Rolled foul off first base. It's also true of Baltimore in the 9th inning, leading the Yankees 8-1. Toronto's looking at that score, because if these scores hold up, both here and in New York, the Orioles will have a 1-game lead over Toronto in the wild card. Toronto would be in the 2nd wild card position. 0-2. But I mean, there's a chance that you have a bad weekend, you can be knocked out of the postseason entirely if you're Baltimore or Detroit or Toronto. A liner, but Pedroia down for that to first base in plenty of time. 1 man gone in the 8th inning. Don't miss out on the upcoming City-thon 5K and brunch on Saturday, November 10th. Hosted by Camp Harbor View and presented by Optum. It's actually on November 19th. Sorry. Run as an individual or create a team, all in support of Boston's youth. Register today at chvcitython.com. Here's Pilar now 0 for 2 with a walk. Now the left-hander loop up for the 2nd time in the Toronto bullpen. Cracked his bat and grounded that one foul. Now, both teams wanted to play tonight. That was very evident because there was a light rain when the game got underway after the David Ortiz ceremony. And at times tonight it's been pretty steady. You know, Gibbons wanted to play and did not want to have to risk playing a doubleheader at any point this weekend. Vicious swing and a miss there by Pilar.
That's a split-fingered fastball again from Koji, down and away from Pilar.
A ball and 2 strikes.
Fastball upstairs. That time at 85 miles an hour.
Now Koji continues to amaze, getting outs with it. That one drifted a bit. Count 3-2. Well, he will never be forgotten for what he did in 2013 when he took over as the closer. He was Mr. Automatic. As always, dipping down, going to that rosin bag. And he works quickly, the 3-2. That one just missed. He did not get the call from Carlson.
Well, we're seeing a couple of those tonight that have been, you know, perfect pitches down and away to the corner and have not been called strikes. We saw that happen when Porcello was in the game. And that last pitch right there, to me, is strike 3.
Yeah, that's a great pitch. Ball 4, according to Carlson. You don't see Koji react very much like that. He had him struck out. Travis now. He's 2 for 3 with a double and a single. Three for 3 with a home run on Koji. Sox up 5-3. Hit sharply and by Holt down the line. That's going to make it all the way to the monster. Pilar rounds. He's into third base and stops there. It'll be a 2-base hit for Travis, who's really been trouble in that 9 spot tonight. That's his 3rd hit.
Yeah, 2 doubles and a single from the 9 spot in the batting order, and that's big right there. I mean, right down the line, down into the corner. It's a fastball that stayed inside and quickly by Brock Holt. By the time it's chased down by Benintendi, the potential tying run at second base. So now Koji's really got to go to work.
1 man out. Kimbrel starting to get ready. He's looking for a bounce back performance. Carrera the batter. He's gone 2 for 4. He can drop down a bunt at any time. He pops it up on the infield. Bogarts. And Xander there for the catch. That's a big second out. And Carrera, over anxious, popped up on 1 pitch.
First pitch, fastball from Koji at 86, a little bit high in the strike zone, and you see the frustration on Carrera's actions after popping the ball up with 2 men in scoring position.
Well, he's got to get through Donaldson now. He was gone 2 for 3 with an RBI, but just 1 for 11 against Koji. And 1 is a home run. Second and third, 2 down. And popped up but foul. That'll drift out of play for strike 1.
Once again, Koji going to the fastball inside that time to Donaldson and actually tied him up. See Leone setting up inside. That's exactly where he gets it and does not let Donaldson get extended.
Next RBI for Donaldson will be his 100th of the season. 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't know about you, but I put a little asterisk right next to that ball 4 on Pilar. And he took that pitch that was called a ball by Carlson. Looked like a strike.
I agree.
He's at third base. Travis at second. 2 down on the 1-1 to Donaldson. And high and tight. 2-1.
As whereas you're an infielder, if any ground ball goes to your right or left, you've got to be diving to try to knock it down. You know, if 1 run scores, you're okay. If 2 runs scores, you're tied. You try to do everything to knock down a ground ball.
2-1. Ground ball, hard hit, down for it. Holt's got a long throw, and he got him. Koji gets out of it. The tying run stranded in scoring position here in the 8th inning, with the Red Sox still in front, 5-3 over Toronto. Brought to you by Old Dominion.
Number 38 on the season for David Ortiz. A fastball running back in on him. He cleans it out. Ortiz with 3 RBIs on the night.
Old Dominion helping the world keep promises. An electrifying moment here at Fenway Park. Once again, courtesy of Big Papi. Last half of the 8th, Red Sox ahead 5-3. Jackie Bradley against Loop, the left-hander. Comes on out of the bullpen, Sandy Leone, and then Benintendi also to hit. And you know that John Farrell would love to get Craig Kimbrell out on that mound to lock up a save and shake off the other night at Yankee Stadium. I think Craig Kimbrell shook it off very quickly. He said actually during the celebration he had forgotten pretty much all about it. It's a great thing for a closer to have a short memory.
You got to. You have no choice.
And fouled away by Jackie on the night. A grounded to short, a pop to second, and a strikeout. That set a record in my mind for strange, weird, bizarre that night. And the turn of that game-winning grand slam. The Red Sox win the division. Did he hold up? He did. That's gone final now. Baltimore's won 8-1 over the Yankees. 2-2 and served on a bounce there to Donaldson. Very good defensively. Out number 1. Red Sox baseball brought to you in part by the Massachusetts Highway Safety Division. Distracted driving and speeding are leading causes of crashes, especially in work zones. Whenever you see orange cones in the road, be alert and slow down. The people who work there and their families will thank you. Sandy tonight 1 for 3, a base hit in the 4th inning. Last half of the 8th at Fenway. Benintendi on deck. Andrew had a key hit in the 7th inning. He led off with a double that touched off the rally. We'd see the Red Sox score 4 times and take the lead.
Now the Red Sox offense have been pretty quiet, and that really ignited things in the 7th inning for Boston.
Man, the lefty home of the 0-2. It's looking like the Cleveland Indians are going to win tonight. They're in the 8th inning, 7-2 on Kansas City. Important because the Red Sox are a half game in front of them when it comes to determining who has home field advantage in the American League Division Series. 1-2. Texas leading Tampa Bay 3-1 7th inning. And if the Rangers win that, they clinch home field advantage throughout the American League playoffs. Bounding ball gobbled up by Tulowitzki, and there are 2 down. Time now for a poll question presented by People's United Bank. Jerry, let's see what topics people can vote on to hear you talk about on NESN Sports Today.
And I know what the answer to this one's going to be. Take down the last 2. Take down the last 2 right now. Right now, it's going to be like 100% vote. Right.
Yep. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply.
You know, I was checking another score out there. Detroit against Atlanta. They have a 6-1 lead late in the game.
Tigers with a chance to move to within a half a game of that second wild card spot. Going to be a fun weekend. In there for a strike. And for the Red Sox, a victory on a Friday night on David Ortiz night, with David playing a very prominent role in the batter's box, would be a wonderful start to the weekend. The 0-2 and lashed foul out of play. Dustin Pedroia with another multi-hit game. He has 3 hits tonight on deck. A very good sign for the Red Sox tonight when Pedroia's got 3 hits and Mookie Betts had a key hit. David Ortiz, well, he's been David Ortiz. Xander Bogaerts ripped a triple. Check swing and a roller to third. Donaldson will sling it, but does not have a play, and Benintendi is safe. Just trying to hold up his swing, and he winds up with his 2nd hit tonight.
Yeah, sometimes you get lucky, you know, and you really get fooled on a pitch right there, and he just tried to check his swing. He makes contact, and nobody's there. Donaldson eventually gets there, but he's got no chance.
Gibbons coming out. He's already made the call to the bullpen. So he'll bring on the right-hander Tepera to try and get Dustin Pedroia out. Petey looking for his 4th hit of the ball game. Red Sox ahead 5-3. We'll take the break and be back at Fenway in a moment. By Xfinity, Estrada went the first 5 for Toronto. No decision for him. Porcello went 6 for the Sox. No decision for Rick tonight. David Ortiz, home run number 38. 3 runs batted in. He is tied for the American League lead in RBIs. And Dustin Pedroia has 3 hits tonight. He's gone 3 for 4, now hitting .322. Benintendi on with an infield single. We're in the last half of the 8th inning. Tepera out of their bullpen. Each side with 10 hits. Red Sox putting up 4 in the 7th. David Ortiz with a bullet, a 2-run homer down the right field line. And a strike on Dustin. Been a big night for Pedroia as well. He has gone over 200 hits for the season. And is the land of the elite hitter. Now one of the real key plays in the game happened in the 7th inning when Pedroia singled with a little tapper on front of the plate, and Martin, the catcher, threw it away right into the tarp down the right field line on a play that eventually scored Benintendi. 2-base error. That one slapped to the right side and scooped up by Travis. And that will retire the side. So Craig Kimbrell coming on, looking to close this one out as we go to the 9th inning. It is 5-3 Boston. Southwest Airlines, yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Ninth inning coming up. Red Sox with a 5-3 lead. And Kimbrel looking to put all the madness of the other night in New York behind him here. His 56th appearance, 2-5. ERA is up a bit after that performance at 3.35, but he says he's already forgotten about it, and he's looking for save number 31.
I asked John Farrell what Kimbrel was saying when he went out to take him out of that game, and he said, I can get out of this inning. You know, that's just his mindset, but John said, no, not tonight.
And that gets a very tough part of the order. Encarnacion, Bautista, and Martin. And here we go in the ninth. Ball one on Encarnacion, who's really been silenced. That doesn't happen very many times this year. He's 0 for 4, 42 home runs for the DH. And it's 2-0.
A lot of times when Kimbrel gets in trouble, it's because he lacks the command of that fastball.
He drops that one in there at 96. Craig was the man who took the loss on Wednesday night as he walked 3 men, gave up 4 earned runs. Starting that inning with a 3-0 lead. He was removed after allowing a leadoff single and the 3 consecutive base hits. 3 consecutive walks after the base hit. The 2-1 to the third baseman. Brock Holt's been very busy tonight. 1 away in the ninth.
He has been very solid down at third base in this ball game defensively for the Red Sox. And again, as we mentioned earlier, not an easy field to be playing on tonight because of the rain all night long, but flawless at third base.
I'll send up Bautista, who has walked fly to right, belted a 2-run homer, and beat out an infield single. Home run was his 22nd. He takes ball 1. In for a called strike. Five runs, 10 hits for the Red Sox. 3 runs, 10 hits for Toronto. Blue Jays have made the only 2 errors in the game. Martin, the man on deck with that misfire. That would eventually allow Benintendi to score. It's downstairs for a ball. That was after a base hit by Pedroia. Three and 1 on Bautista. Rain falling a little harder now. And that's going to miss. Just barely, but ball 4. And that'll put Bautista on and bring up Martin, representing the tying run. Martin tonight 0 for 3, and he's taking a walk. 3 for 6 against the Red Sox closer. One man away, and he starts him off with a breaking ball for a strike.
Change it up a little bit to get away from that fastball. Try to get ahead with the breaking ball. Try the breaking ball again.
Activity in the bullpen for Toronto. Jason Grilli getting going. In case there is a bottom of the ninth, the 1-1. Popped him up. Short right. Pedroia. Hanley there. And he's got it. In foul ground. He's made some really fine plays tonight. Really nice plays.
Yeah, not easy plays. You know, they look easy when the ball goes up in the air, but all of a sudden that wind takes over and makes some very difficult plays. And he's made a couple of really, really good ones. Takes a peek back, see if anybody's there. Nobody's there. It's up to Hanley, and he makes it going away.
So 2 down. Here's Tulowitzki. 1 for 4 with a base hit. And the crowd is up. That one's going to get away, and a check swing, and it rolls back behind Leon and down to second. Bautista. On a curveball, he got away.
They said Tulowitzki didn't go on that, and Kimbrel can't believe it.
Wild pitch. Sandy Leon out there to calm down Craig maybe a little bit.
Yeah, that run at second base means absolutely nothing right now. The focus on Troy Tulowitzki.
Red Sox ahead 5-3 in the ninth. Sox fans saw the David Ortiz ceremony, the first one of the weekend. Before the game, they saw David drive in 3 runs and belt a homer. Now they want the win.
See Ortiz standing there in his red Auerbach pose. Instead of lighting a cigar, gets the shirts out of the pants. When he thinks they're going to get a win, that's what he does. Now things turn around the other way, you can quickly readjust. But remember, Red used to light up the cigar when he knew the Celtics had it in control.
Absolutely.
That's what Ortiz does when the Red Sox have a lead or he feels they're going to win the ball game.
Poppy with 3 RBIs, a rocket of a home run, 127 RBIs to tie for the league lead. Tulowitzki, good power, 24 homers. 2-0. Cleveland has won. They beat Kansas City 7-2. So as we talk about home field advantage, the Red Sox have to win this one to maintain a half-game lead over the Indians. They will be seeing in the division series the 2-0. That's a strike. Bautista at second, 2 away, and the 2-1 from Kimbrel. And a breaking ball did not catch the corner.
Tried to snap off a breaking ball and pick up the inside corner, throwing it at Tulowitzki, but not enough break on it.
A hitter's count for Tulowitzki. And that misses. He didn't get the call on that. And that's going to be ball 4. And he's angry.
They should be. And that's a good pitch. Many times tonight, that pitch low in the zone to the outside part of the plate of a hitter has not been called a strike.
Dalton Pompey will take over as the runner at first base. And Dearno Navarro has a bat, and he's going to bat for Smoke. And now the tying runs are on. Red Sox unhappy with Mark Carlson. Second walk in the inning, and the 5th in his last 2 appearances for Kimbrel. Did not get the call. So now some drama here in the 9th. Red Sox ahead 5-3. Navarro just 208 with 6 homers. Their closer Osuna getting going. The Red Sox closer drops in strike 1 to start him with a curveball.
Red Sox in a prevent defense, outfield deep, and Hanley right on the line at first base. They're trying to keep a ball from getting down that first base line where the man can score from first.
2 down in the 9th. This Toronto club is difficult to put away. 1 strike pitch, foul back. So 0-2 on Navarro. Red Sox 1 strike away from what could be a very damaging loss for Toronto. We'll see how the rest of the weekend plays out. Red Sox trying to win their 93rd game. Kimbrel would love to end it with a strikeout. Here's the 0-2. He does. It's over. He picks up the save, and the Red Sox behind Big Papi on a night for Big Papi knock off the Toronto Blue Jays 5-3. Each side with 10 hits. And TC, plenty of drama here at Fenway Park tonight. That's a meaningful win for the Boston Red Sox.